Hello and welcome. So, today, what we're going to talk about is arrays. Now, what is an array? When I look at the definition of something in computer science, generally speaking, there is some sort of connected English word which describes that in a much more simplistic way. So, first, we're going to look at what an array in English actually is. An array in English basically means a collection of similar things. You could say an array of fruit, and you would have a bunch of different fruit, but it's all fruit. And you would have many of them. So you'd maybe have kiwis, you'd maybe have bananas, you'd maybe have apples and oranges. An array of cars. You may have Lamborghinis, you may have Rolls Royces, you may have Mercedes. Arrays are simply a collection of similar things. And in computer science, it's no different. An array is a collection of similar data elements stored at contiguous memory locations. Now, what does that mean? As we went over, a collection of similar things, and our things in programming are data elements or data types. This can be strings, this can be integers, this can be images, this can be any host of data that we may want to store in an array. Now, what does stored at contiguous memory mean? Stored at contiguous memory locations means that it is sequential in RAM. In our RAM memory, we have these little boxes that we can put things in, and an array will store it one after another. Now, different languages implement arrays differently. For example, in C or C++, an array is strictly static, which means an array does not add elements or does not remove elements. An array is static. In JavaScript, though, an array is by default dynamic. And a dynamic array means that you can add elements to it and you can remove elements from it. So even though you let's say have 100 elements in your array, you can then have 99 elements, 98 elements, 97 elements, or you can have 101 elements, 102 elements as you add to that array. And I'm going to show you how to do this in a moment. Now, when we're starting with our arrays, we generally want to use a const keyword. This signifies that it's going to be a constant type. And this constant means that we cannot change it. So I'm going to say my array equals, and then we use square brackets. So const my array equals square brackets. This is creating an empty array. Now you can call this whatever you would like. You can call it, ham sandwich for all that really matters. This is simply a indicator, and generally speaking, when you're naming something, you want to name it appropriately. Because we're just doing a demonstration, I'm going to call this my array. I could also call this my random array, or my random numbers, or you can, as I said, call it whatever you would like. So arrays and for loops are like brothers. They're closely interconnected with one another. Now, as you can see with our for loop, we have index, and it already comes with a built-in const element array index. Now, as you can see, it's already telling us that, hey, you're using a for loop, you might want to use an array at some point. So we already have our array created and it's empty. Now I'm going to set this from index, or while index is less than 100. And I'm going to do a random number generator. So I'm going to do math.floor. And inside of this math.floor, I'm going to say math.random. I want capital. And then I'm going to multiply it by 100. Now I'm going to go my array dot push, and up here I'm going to create a variable called let, and I'm going to say rand equal, and this way my math.floor math.random times 100 is making a variable called rand, so our random numbers in there, and we're going to push this newly created random number into our array. And every time we do this, we create a new element, and we're going to have 100 elements. So if I go to console.log, type my array, and I'm going to go to my index.html, right click, and then open in default browser. And then I'm going to press F12 to open up my dev tools. And as you can see here, I have an array that has 100 elements. And you can see each element is a random number. So element 0 has the number 50. Element 1 has a 1. That's coincidental. Element 2 has 46, and so on, up till we get to 99. Now, we have 100 elements, but we start counting at 0. So 0 is the first element, and the 100th element is 99. If you're new to programming, this might be confusing for the first little bit, but the more you use arrays, the better it gets. And the more you remember, you're starting from 0. And you're going to a number. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and we're looking forward to seeing you at ITD. Take care.